seekers of truth, wisdom, and knowledge. Today I'd like to continue with my analysis of Eyes Wide Shut, the Stanley Kubrick final swan song. Incredibly interesting and fascinating and multi-layered. Today, I want to discuss a character in Eyes Wide Shut, and that is Nick Nightingale. Who is Nick Nightingale? It seems a very strange coincidence that he crosses path with Bill. And he is a type of character that I would call a pivotal character, or a deus ex machina. And so a character like this appears perhaps only once in a film, and yet changes or alters the entire path of the protagonist. So let's explore this role, this character, Bill's friend from college, from medical school, Nick Nightingale. Nick Nightingale, in Eyes Wide Shut, is an unusual character who changes the course of Bill's life. So, is it a coincidence that he happens to run into Bill at Ziegler's party? Let's explore his role in this movie. So we first encounter Nick Nightingale, which in itself, the name is very interesting. We know that this movie takes place during Christmas, and so Nick, Saint Nick, right? And then also Nightingale, so the famed bird that sings in the night, also associated in many cultures as a sorrowful sort of song of beauty and unrequited love. So Nick Nightingale. So we first see him at the Ziegler party, and he sees Bill. Bill actually sees him and approaches him. And just as he's speaking to Bill, he's ushered away by one of Ziegler's handlers. And he invites Bill to come see him at the Sonata Cafe. So while he's at the cafe, the story of the secret party is revealed. So it's unusual how Bill learns of this party, and we have to ask ourselves, is this whole thing just a strange coincidence, or is it a setup? Is Bill being recruited? And if so, why would Nick Nightingale be used in his recruitment? So let's take this apart. So Nick's role is symbolically loaded. And it's not random, right? We know that they went to medical school together, but he drops out. And he's taken a totally different path. So the Nightingale reference is associated with secret knowledge and warnings. And in this sense, Nick is a narrative device, as I mentioned, a deus ex machina. That's how I see him. And those are one of my favorite characters in movies. Those characters, they make a little cameo appearance and they change everything. So Nick is the bridge between the public elite world and the secret elite world. Nick is present at Ziegler's party, a gathering of the wealthy and powerful, and also at the masked ritual. This dual presence is highlighted in various analyses as a deliberate structural pivotal role in the film's shift from realism to fantasy. and conspiracy and occult worlds unknown to Bill at this point. Nick Nightingale's reappearance is the moment the film reconfigures itself. So, when Bill sees Nick at the jazz club, the film transforms into something more conspiratorial and uncanny. That shift is too precise to be accidental. So, is this a setup? Some elaborate plan to recruit Bill? So, Nick, in a sense, is a mechanism by which Bill is lured or allowed into the ritual. Whether Nick is a pawn unknowingly used by the elite, a recruiter knowingly guiding Bill, or a narrative symbol, a nightingale leading Bill into the dark. So, what can we take away from that? So, what are Nick's hidden motivations? So, this is ambiguous, but having watched the film, it becomes clear that this has to have been a setup. And within the confines of the film, we never see Nick again. We don't know if who knows, maybe one day in the future, Bill then sees him again, or they meet up at one of these parties, now that he's an initiated person in the group. It's really interesting. Now, we have to ask ourselves, they were colleagues at medical school, and yet, unlike Bill, Nick drops out. So does he secretly resent Bill for his success? I mean, there he is, a musician getting gigs where he can to make money. So is there some kind of secret resentment which makes him all too eager to lead Bill astray? Nick brings up his dropout status unprompted. He just volunteers that, almost defensively. It's a classic sign of someone who feels inferior or insecure. Bill is everything Nick could have been: successful, respected, wealthy, married, stable. Nick's life is transient and precarious. Hotel rooms, late-night gigs, and secretive side jobs. When Nick sees Bill, he's warm, but also slightly nervous, as if he's aware of the status gap between them. So here are some reasons he might not resent Bill. Nick seems genuinely happy to see him. His tone is more old friend catching up than old friend with a grudge. His life, while unstable, doesn't seem miserable. He's chosen a path for himself that gives him access to unusual circles. But I wonder if there is a certain rivalry, if not resentment. So we ask ourselves, was Nick tasked with the job of recruiting Bill? The recruitment theory. Nick volunteers the information about the secret party unusually easily for something so dangerous. He emphasizes that they need a doctor, a very convenient detail for Bill. The elite group clearly values professionals who can be useful: doctors, pianists, models, escorts. Nick's fear later in the film suggests he's been involved with them for a while, possibly in a subordinate role. So Bill is seen as valuable to the cult, let's call it. He's wealthy, respectable, and socially connected. He's already shown curiosity and susceptibility to temptation. He's married, which makes him easier to control through blackmail. Now, why might Nick have been the perfect recruiter? He knows Bill personally. Bill trusts him. Nick already is compromised and dependent on the group. Recruiters in secret societies are often people who are themselves controlled by the group. Lower ranking members having to earn their trust or earn points with the cult leader. What's interesting too is that we see that Nick is genuinely terrified, which suggests he didn't expect Bill to actually show up. But again, having given Bill the password and explaining the costume necessary, I doubt that. He maybe was showing off, but he did give the password, so I'm going to say he was in on it. So Nick is a low-level asset of the elite group. Bill is a high-value potential recruit. Nick's insecurity makes him vulnerable, and the group uses him. Bill's curiosity makes him vulnerable, and the group tests him. Kubrick never confirms any of this, but the film is designed to reward exactly this kind of layered reading. And I'd also like to connect with Nick's psychology. So Nick, as we've talked about, is a dropout from medical school. He's financially unstable, drifting from gig to gig, involved in a dangerous, secretive world he doesn't control. So Bill is his old friend. So when two old friends meet and one has, quote, fallen while the other has, quote, risen, the dynamic often becomes charged. Nick's casual friendliness masks a deeper insecurity. And why would he invite Bill into the underworld, even indirectly? Is this to level the playing field? If Bill is corrupted, compromised, or humiliated, Nick is no longer the failure. They become equals again, or even reversed. Bill becomes the one in danger, the one who doesn't understand the rules, the one who is naive. But is Nick consciously trying to corrupt him? He gives Bill just enough information, emphasizes the exclusivity, and mentions the need for a doctor. He sort of plays the role of the initiator. Nick gets to be the guide, the one with secret knowledge. For a moment, he's above Bill. That's intoxicating for someone who feels inferior. Now, I want to take this to the ancient Greek storytelling mythology because it reminds me of the story, in a way, of Orpheus and Eurydice. So, without going into too much detail, Orpheus is this well-known musician. His music is beautiful and loved. And so there's that Nick thing. So Nick is a musician. That's an interesting choice for Kubrick, right? Was he playing off the Orpheus story? So in the story, his beloved, the woman he loves, Eurydice, passes. And he's so sorry for her passing, and he wants to do anything he can to get her back. And so he petitions the gods, and Hermes agrees to help him, being so moved by his love for Eurydice. So he takes him down into Hades to find Eurydice. And so he uses his music, his beautiful music, to tempt and convince Hades, Pluto, to allow Eurydice to return from the underworld. And Hades agrees, but with a caveat, that he must not look back. And so there's something being said here with masks, I would argue, that in the movie, masks are very important, and no one is allowed to remove the mask. And by removing the mask, it is an inferior status. And so Bill is asked to remove his mask while others are not. So he obviously is taking on a humiliated status. In a similar way, Orpheus is warned that he must not look back. Hermes, being a god, can lead him into Hades, present him to Hades, Pluto, and he makes the petition for Eurydice. He plays his beautiful music. He's convinced Hades through his beautiful music, and he allows it. But he must not look back. As they're exiting the underworld, Hermes leading the way, Orpheus in the middle, and Eurydice trailing along behind them. But of course, he doubts. He thinks, well, maybe she's not really behind us anymore. And of course, he turns around, and as a result of breaking his promise with Hades, she's pulled back into the underworld. So in a sense, by looking through a mask, removing the mask, by second guessing, he loses his chance. So there's this interesting cosmology with the musician being the one who leads Bill into this underworld, so to speak. So let's unpack this a bit. So Hermes is the one who guides or leads mortals into the underworld. Nick is literally a musician, like Orpheus, who guides Bill into a hidden realm. He is sort of Hermes in shabby clothing. So Orpheus enters the underworld using music as his key. Nick and his piano ability is used to enter this underworld. Nick's piano playing is the password, the ritual function, the ticket into the occult ceremony. Not unlike the story with Orpheus. He is Orpheus, but corrupted. He's not descending into the underworld for love, but for money and survival. So if Nick is Orpheus, being the musician, it's out of staying alive and keeping in the good graces with Hades, actually. So Hades is representative of the masked elite. They are the rulers of the underworld. They control access, enforce rules, and punish transgression. Bill is the naive mortal who wanders into their domain without understanding the cost. Also very interesting, Kubrick uses a musical opera, the name of a musical opera, Fidelio, which is the title of one of Beethoven's operas. The title of Beethoven's opera about disguise, imprisonment, and rescue, a story where a wife descends into danger to save her husband. So Kubrick flips it. Bill uses Fidelio to enter, but there is no rescue, only exposure. Music is literally the method of entry. Nick's piano is the threshold instrument, not unlike Orpheus and his harp. So we ask ourselves, is Nick trying to corrupt Bill? So if we use the Greek
tragedy of Orpheus as an overlay here, Nick is the Hermes/Orpheus figure. He leads Bill downward through music. Bill is the uninitiated mortal, curious, privileged, and unaware of the rules. The elite group is Hades, a realm of masks, rituals, and absolute power. And I would include the power over life and death, as we see in that film. If you cross that cult, people start disappearing. Have you noticed? Nick's motives are mixed, partly insecurity, part desire to impress, part unconscious resentment, perhaps, part genuine friendliness, and part pressure from the group. He doesn't intend to destroy Bill, but he does want to bring him into a world where Bill's status no longer protects him. In a sense, yes, Nick pulls Bill downward, and for a moment, Nick becomes the superior one.